Officially call the meeting to order at 7:04. We'll let the minutes reflect that all the board members except Councilwoman Metzler, who I believe is going to be joining us here shortly, is in attendance, as well as a number of members of staff. Our first order of business, we have the minutes of July 22nd before us, and would entertain a motion of approval for those minutes.
I'll move.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion on those? Seeing none, the minutes will stand approved as written. Thank you, Lisa. July monthly reports, I think most of the monthly reports are in. I think there's a couple of folks that I'm sure we'll have them in by the end of the week, and that will round out our July monthly reports. So thank you for the department heads for that. We have no public hearings this evening. We do have a guest, so welcome to our guest this evening, and I'll let Mr. Costello tee that up for the board.
Thank you, Tony. With us today is Mr. Ahmad Idris, who, as you may or may not know, has been the manager of the 7-Eleven for the last 23 years, I believe.
Forever.
And he came to me recently and indicated that he found out that 7-Eleven was no longer interested in operating at that location. He, of course, is very interested. And I asked him to come in and talk to the board a little bit about the operation and what he proposes to do as the new operator. And so with that, I'll let you jump in and tell us a little bit about the business and what you propose to do, if it's going to be the same or if you're going to change it.
It's going to be the same. Everything will be the same except the Slurpee will go out.
The what?
Slurpee.
Slurpee.
Slurpee is the patent from Slurpee that
Yeah.
will go out. And the patent will be the same. The store will remain the same. Only 7-Eleven will take their cash registers and will bring new cash registers. That's
And a new sign.
and a new sign.
And so today you have a feed from the 7-Eleven Corporation. You know, they bring in, you know, product and some things like that they provide. So how do you handle that in the future?
They used to be, we used to get through McLean's most
Okay.
of the products. But now we are going to come, there is one company which is called Mountain, I don't remember, I had the car, Mountain, they deliver from Pennsylvania, but it will be the same. But there are two deliveries in a week and everything. And some of the products like Slurpee and sodas, Slurpee, there will be no Slurpee. Soda, we are going to buy from Coke and Pepsi and all that.
Buy all that direct?
All that.
Yeah.
There will be no different. But most of the things, 90% is what we buy from McLean, is we are going to buy from Mountain.
Okay. So the store will essentially be the same, the layout will be the same, the
Layout
shelves will be stocked the same,
Same.
other than no
Workers will be
reference
the
to
same.
7-Eleven.
Yes.
A couple of things like the Slurpee machine and a few things like that will disappear,
Slurpee
but
and
everything
pizza,
else.
Slurpee and pizza will go out.
Okay. And then the owner of the property will remain the same, and you'll just remain
Tony
as the
DiPrima.
manager.
Tony DiPrima,
Yes.
he leased the property to me instead of 7-Eleven for 5 years.
The hours of operation currently versus what they would be, or is it going to stay the same?
Same.
And they are?
It will be same. In the winter, I'm thinking that we may cut down from 24 hours to 20 hours, but I've not decided that, because there will be little problems with if I cut down to 22 hours, then I have to get a new security system and sign. So most probably it will stay 24 hours.
If it doesn't, do we have to come and approve that?
No.
No, I think it's just wanting to know what that is. I mean, if right now we're going to assume that it's 24/7 as it is today, and then it just becomes something less than that, then that would not require coming back before the board.
That's only for the safety, security reasons. Otherwise, I may cut my payrolls, but for security reasons, it's not safe.
How many people work for you on the site?
We have 6 altogether.
And any exterior improvements beyond
No,
the sign?
no.
And what
Just,
do you- yeah.
just the signs, like it is.
Like it
It's
is,
since-
you want that same, is that in conformance? Is that, oh,
It's a
Like-
pre-existing
Pre-existing.
condition, but I think there is reference or, oh, that'd be good to see.
Right. I meant the freestanding sign.
Well, both the
There's
signs
both.
are showing to be backlit illuminated. They have been, but it is an opportunity if the board wants to bring it into compliance now with something less than backlit illuminated, you could do that.
Penfield Corner Store.
Penfield Corner.
Like
I wanted to make it Penfield convenience store, but he told him there was about a year back somebody came in and he wanted to put Penfield convenience store small. And the day we decided that, I got in the email and it came to my store, magazine Penfield convenience store. And I thought that I should not be making any problem in the future. So it's better to make this a different name.
Yeah.
Is the sign on the building, is that going to be the same size? Is it the same?
Same
Is
size.
the same box that's in there now? or is it different?
Same boxes. They will take their 7-Eleven panels
And put
and
new ones in.
new one will come inside.
Okay. Board, any additional questions, comments?
No, I'm glad you want to stay.
What are we planning on doing here tonight? Is this streamline? Is
So
this-
it'd be a streamline. I mean, you know, I think one of the things that we wanted to find out from the operators was it essentially going to be the same. So if it's really just a name change, then it would stay, you know, become a streamline. And if not, if there was some significant changes, additions, you know, anything like that, then we'd have to go for a full hearing. So.
I see no reason to go on beyond the streaming. Like I said, I'm glad you want to stay here if the 7-Eleven goes away like that. I mean, a lot of people.
I wanted to
Depend
retire,
on
but
you.
it's not the time to retire.
Are you going to be?
You're too young to retire.
Are you going to be adding any additional product offerings?
Could be like in place of Slurpee,
Slushy?
Slurpees, we bring slushies, and maybe my daughter, they research, maybe
Frozen yogurt, maybe.
frozen yogurt, if you could get it.
Something easy.
Yeah.
Not too.
It's similar to the cold product.
Right, right.
Right. Okay. Board, any other
He's gonna-
questions, comments?
Permit, so I-
Staff, any, you want to hold on to those guys?
Well, he's got his prices on there, so I think we'll just get a copy of those.
Okay,
from him,
great.
And
Yes.
then, unless you have extra
If you,
copies.
I don't have a copy,
No, that's fine.
I'll bring it to you.
Yes, that would be fine. That would be fine.
Okay, staff,
I guess the
other
only
questions or
question I have
comments?
to the board is the board comfortable allowing a backlit illuminated sign both attached and freestanding
Across
to
the
the
street
site?
it is, right?
Well, next to them, there is the sign that was granted to the Penfield, Penfair Service operation a couple of years ago.
I don't think
And that was to fill in
Starbucks.
If Starbucks has one too.
Yeah,
The
so-
Starbucks one has a pre-existing
Right.
non-conforming as well.
I'm
I'm fine.
okay with that.
Plus it's
this
24
being the
hours, you
same.
know?
And just,
Backlit,
exactly,
the light
it's
out there.
24 hours.
All right. That would be my only
Yeah.
question on it.
Okay. All right, everyone comfortable with pretty much remaining the same as it is, just a different the name change and things? So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, so Jim, you will prepare a letter on behalf of the board?
Yes,
So
what
that
I'm
they
going to
have
do
that?
is preparing a permit for you.
Okay.
There'll be a fee and all that business, but it's standard, and I will sit down with you and go through everything. You can come in and start talking to the building inspectors about getting your sign permits. and
Okay,
then-
I'll make the copies and come to you.
That would be
and-
great.
And get the permit and,
Yep.
so what would be a good time, Fridays?
Yes, if you want to just send me an email, it's good for you, I'll meet with you at your convenience.
Okay.
Okay?
So what is the time frame by way of changing out? When do you have to stop being 7-Eleven so that
I
you're
got
not in
my-
violation?
I got all my the licenses, and 3 days before the liquor license, a letter from the liquor authority came, and I told 7-Eleven, and it will be between 28th to 31st of August.
Of August?
Either 28th or 31st,
Okay,
Friday or Tuesday.
got it. got it, okay. And then your intent essentially is not to close just to be closed for a very short period of
It will be
time?
closed for a couple of hours at the time of the audit.
Sure.
They have to do the inventory.
Yep.
And that inventory is send it to me. Maybe or may not be will close for a couple of hours, or may continue.
Got it, okay. All right, very good. Right, so Kaz, you'll get the letter out, you'll meet with Amand, and we'll go from there.
Very good.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with the, sounds like everything's gonna be the same, so
I hope
good luck
so.
with the new name, and everything, continues as it is in the Four Corners.
Thank
Great
you.
name.
All right, thank you for your time. Okay, that takes us down into our action items, and under Law and Finance, we have the Stained Glass Distillery at 2106 5 Mile Line Road, and Mr. Costello?
Thank you. You had a public hearing on July 1st. Indicated what they'd like to do. We didn't see anything outstanding. My only recommendation to the board was in listening to the public hearing. I'm sorry I didn't attend, but in listening to it, I guess my recommendation would be that there should be some component to serve food on that site. This board has never just approved anything where you could come in and drink alcohol without some type of food to accompany it. The intent would be to have it be a buffer from just becoming just a bar. So,
But,
I
you
think
go
it
to
was-
these craft breweries and they don't serve food.
They're starting
have
to, though.
Food trucks. and so
well,
on.
I'm not certain we're going to see food trucks sitting out in the parking lot every night, but they indicated when we first met with them that they would be looking to do some type of
They did, they said quesadillas. or
yeah,
something.
some type of samplings of one thing or another, and I think that might be appropriate to record that as a condition. rather than
Require that they serve food, but
something.
their kitchen, are they kitchen
Well-
equipped to have serving food though?
No, but they've indicated that they are going to provide for that service at some point in time, and I think that rather than just have somebody come in and sip whiskey or moonshine for, an hour or so,
Right.
I mean, there should be some component there associated with it.
Well, I would say then we ask them how quickly they plan on having that a part of their operation
Yeah.
and making it a condition on approval. I mean, I would like to know if they've given it any more thought after the hearing, or, if they plan on opening something on day one, bringing in trucks, bringing in something off-site, because, I also thought it was pretty clear from the public hearing that this is in no way, shape, or form a bar. I mean, you
know.
have a total of
Yeah.
a third of a shot
Right, they were very limited in what they could serve.
per individual, per evening.
I'm not
so-
saying that they have to serve dinner. I'm just saying there should be something there, some hors d'oeuvre or something that you just don't go in and drink constantly and then just come out
I
again.
just wonder if you can mandate that. I mean, if you go down to, not that I go to all the places, but I mean, if you go down to Black Button there, they don't have food. They have like.
I'm making a
crackers or
recommendation to
something.
you. You can,
Yeah,
you
this-
can do what
But
you
I don't
want.
know if you can you force that? If
You're issuing a
So,
permit.
so this is, yes, so the board obviously can impose whatever regulations we want, within reason, obviously.
within reason, yeah.
We can ask for conditions of approval if that's the direction that the board is so inclined.
I don't think there's a representative.
I'm just going to say, is Tim
No.
or Mike?
No, I don't think they're here this evening. They indicated, I think Tim is in Vermont, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. So, I mean, one of the things, by way of full disclosure, I was not at this public hearing, and came in after this public hearing was closed. And while I did, take a look at, the minutes and the information from that, I think there's still, some number of questions that are outstanding. And my recommendation might be that we hold this tonight, pending gathering some information, because I think as I reread the information that was provided, it talked about, future events, and it talked about, some other types of things. I think there's some questions and issues about the food component. I think it would be appropriate to hear directly from the potential operators as to what it is that they will be providing. And I think until we get that, and because they're not here to be able to, either share or anything, I think it would be appropriate to hold this for 2 weeks. And then I would encourage one and or both to be in attendance in addition to any additional materials that they might submit.
Right.
Yeah, so that would be my recommendation to the
I
board.
agree with that, that's good. What else, did they go to the Historic Preservation Board?
They have not yet, because they're not the ones that are gonna be dealing with the exterior modifications. From what I understand, right at this point in time, it's really gonna be a painting, stripping and painting process more than anything else. They're also gonna have to go to the board at some point in time to address new windows, but I think the windows are gonna be to the interior of the existing stained glass windows. So in that case, the board would not have jurisdiction over those windows either. So it remains to be seen as to how much they really are going to do, as it requires some type of certificate of appropriateness.
Okay. Board supportive of
Yes.
holding that and getting some additional information? Okay, so this will remain a held item, and it'll be placed back on the agenda for 2 weeks from tonight. Okay, that will take us to granting easement to RG&E at Schaufelberger Park. Mr. Costello.
Yes, Mark Valentine and I went to Mark's Pizzeria the other day at the request of Mark. He had a gentleman from the RG&E there. It turns out there's going to be a gas line that has to run, has to run along the south side of the building in the area, a portion of the outdoor dining area, which is in the town park. We've looked at it. We don't have a concern for it. It's going to be running along the building, and it's not going to impact the park really in any way, other than it's just going to run along the corner of the park area. We indicated that we would be supportive of it, and I think that there's really no reason not to support that. So we're recommending to you that you allow the supervisor to sign an agreement. We'll have to put a resolution in place to do that, and then they can go ahead and do the paperwork to accommodate the easement.
PRC reviewed it.
PRC hasn't reviewed it. We can certainly run it past them, but I don't think the PRC is going to have a big concern with it. As I say, it runs parallel to the building, adjacent to, it's 3 feet off the edge of the
I'd say
building.
it's held pretty close to the building because the control box for the clock tower is in that
Is
general
another-
area, so it's got to be between
It's got to be,
Right.
yeah.
the control box and the building, so there's really not much you can push out from the edge of the building from where it is.
Okay. So, board comfortable with granting easement for that, do a resolution, and the easement would be subject, obviously, to review of the town, review and approved by town attorney Horowitz for that easement.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to Public Works action items, and we'll start with our friend Mr. Valentine, sidewalk waiver, 1450 Marchner Road.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The plan it's behind portion of the board is the site plan the planning board's been dealing with. Excuse me for my laser pointer once again, but Marchner Road on the south side, 250 on the west side of the map, so we're east of 250, north side of Marchner Road. Before the planning board came, an application to split these lots in here. So there's a request tonight is to get a sidewalk waiver for these two parcels. This will be a new single-family house lot. This is an existing home that's there. PRC looked at it. There's no sidewalks anywhere in the region. They're willing to provide the sidewalk easement, and you have a letter, saying that they're requesting the waiver from that. So it's just
So what's the width of those lots, Mark, today?
I think the one is, this one's 171 is this portion which goes with lot number 2, and then lot number 1 is about 350 feet.
Okay. And then remind me again, if you would, the 1445 Jackson Road.
That was about 665 feet.
Okay, thank
That's what we
you.
were looking at the other one. So this is a total of almost 550 feet on that one between the two lots.
Okay.
Where's the nearest sidewalk?
The nearest sidewalk
You
is,
said this is,
this is east of 250 on
Webster.
Marchner, so the village of Webster would probably be the closest.
Right on.
The closest for the town would be somewhere down 250, closer to the YMCA.
Or the internal sidewalks that you might find in in Cranberry or
Those do not have
Abington.
sidewalks.
No, there are none.
There's no sidewalks in Cranberry Cove or
Or
Abington.
Abington
Abington does have
does have
sidewalks.
sidewalks, right.
Yes.
Okay,
Sounds good.
Good.
all right.
Okay, so
Yes.
I'll let them know the waiver fee and
Yeah.
process that.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. The next item is a license and hold harmless agreement for 9 Vale Drive.
Some more handouts for the board. Need one of those? Oops, sorry, I lost. Mr. Mace, who is here in the audience this evening, if the board has questions, lives at 9 Vale Drive. He has fence currently on basically 3 sides of his house. He would like to fence in and enclose a couple of last pieces. So if you're looking at the map in front of you, he has fence on the east side. The south side, there's a gap on the west side piece that abuts it, and then he has fencing again that goes down the utility line on the north side. So he would like to connect it up at his house. That crosses the utility easement, but the fence that is already over the pipe area is already in. You're not having any issues with that. So he'd like to connect it at his house on that side, connect it at his house on the other side, and then close the gap where you see the 50.97 feet in there. The easement in the back is just for a drainage swale. So I informed him that he has to keep the fence up high enough to obviously keep his dog in, but enough to let the water go underneath. And then obviously enter into a hold harmless agreement with the town, and he's aware that, should the fence have to come down, if any utility work needs to be done or anything needs to be, graded in that area, that he'd be responsible to put the fence back up.
And so what is that gap? I mean,
So he is looking to fill in this 50 feet.
yeah, no, I understand that, Mark, but the gap underneath the fence for the flow?
It is for a swale. I can meet him out there and make sure, when he gets the time to install that, just make sure you get enough to get the water underneath.
Yeah, I've got to believe that not a lot of water is passing through that area, but on the other side of the coin, we've got to make sure that we're not creating a problem for anybody, an adjacent lot or anything like that. So I think that would be at least appropriate to do that. Should be part of, if the board is supportive, that should be part of one of the conditions to at least do that, to take a look at that.
Okay.
Board, other comments, questions? Staff, anything else that we should be aware of?
Anything you'd like to add, or?
The rear area you're talking about, that'll be a chain link fence, and it's way above that swale. It's much higher than that swale, but there's no running water back there.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So we'll just confirm that for, so we've got it for the records, and then, we can go from there. So, all right, good. And then what we'll do is, Mark, you'll prepare a resolution for that?
Yes.
For Friday, and we'll get it into the board for next Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay, great. Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that will take us to summary of town sidewalk needs. Mr. Valentine.
Yes, as we discussed with the board at the last meeting, typically we review, we typically review our list of proposed projects for the year, and I'll flip to the next map on the page. We typically have a primary list of sidewalks we're looking at, and then kind of a secondary list reflecting requests throughout the year for sidewalks in different locations throughout the town. We provided estimates of what those costs are. Indicated which agency we're working with on those. So some of the ones we're looking at as a primary is Fairport 9 Mile Point Road, and it's kind of hard to see on this map, but just north of the gymnastics facility on the west side of the road, continuing up to Timber Glen. The developer at Timber Glen is required to install sidewalks along his portion, so that's the west side of 250 from Wayland Road south to the Filkins property. He's recently acquired the Filkins property. He would stop his sidewalk there, so we've shown that as a priority. If he's going to go that far, we might as well pick up at the Filkins, connect all the way down to the gymnastics facility. That then completes that
That'd
whole
be good,
block, that side of the road, ties into the Filkins piece, and then we're looking at trailheads off the Filkins property, so people nearby can then walk and access into the park and access that new trailhead location. So that's the first one. We're showing it's approximately 855 feet to complete that piece. The second piece is
When does the developer plan on putting that sidewalk in?
we have to do some fill in that area. So we've seen some trees clear recently. Those were cleared out. We are required to do some fill in that area. We're waiting for 2 utility poles to be moved. New poles were installed. The existing poles are still there. So once those are removed, our DPW crew will be filling that, and then he'll be coming in and installing that sidewalk. So he's actually waiting for us on that one. So we need to get RG&E moving to get
I was
those
going to
poles
say,
out of
is it
there.
more us or is it more RG&E?
Well, RG&E needs to move the poles, which then we do the fill, and then the developer, will come in and do his portion of the sidewalk.
So what do you think?
And what's your feeling about that being done this year?
I have confidence that we can get it done, so
Yeah.
I'd like, the DPW has it on their list, they're ready to go, so I'd like to have that going this year. The sidewalks have been designed, they've been submitted to the New York State DOT. They're already in process. We already got the first round of comments from the DOT back, so it's back with the DOT, so I'm hopeful in the next couple of weeks, a month, we'll get approval for those walks.
So the sidewalk could stop right at where that driveway is in the old Filkins property? That
We would obviously
We'd
tie in,
stop right there
we would
and
tie
then
into
we could walk
the piece that, we would go right across the Filkins property.
Oh, it
connect
would
all the
keep
way
on
in,
going? It would keep
because
on
then, north of that is what
Timber.
Steve Philippone, with Timber Glen, he would install the piece to the north, so you would just keep walking right up to Wayland Drive, Wayland Road, and then I know recently the board has received, or we've received a petition from neighbors asking about pet indicators at the Wayland Road 250 intersection. We've had conversations with the state DOT with that. Now that we're bringing sidewalks up to that, we'll
I was
continue those
just confused
conversations with them.
when he asked about it will be done this year. Were you talking from 250 to the Filkins property or 250 all the way down to Wayland Road?
I'd like to see it all done this year.
All
If
the
the
way down
developer's
the
going to
road.
do his piece, at the same time, we could
That's a lot. Yeah.
come in and do our piece, but that would be
I
nice.
only ask because, we've got somewhat control over the work that we do. What we don't have control over is the moving of the 2 poles. And if that's the linchpin, I'm not necessarily confident that RG&E will be able to fulfill that. I'll be hopeful,
That is the one thing that's out
but
of our
not,
control.
but not confident. So, okay.
The next item on the list is on Atlantic Avenue. We've had requests from the neighbors in Fernstone Lane, that's the 5-lot development just west of Baird Road. To get access over to Baird Road, we did put sidewalks in with Dugway Knolls. So this is just a short piece, looking at our budget, trying to fit in, projects that, kind of add up and fill into the town's $50,000 budget. So as we add up down the line, you can see, we're kind of estimating over budget, but as Supervisor LaFountain shared, things kind of come on and off, so we try to kind of make sure we have enough that obviously we spend the money and do what we need to do, but then as the projects don't make it or we're still waiting for polls, then we have other stuff in the queue already, so we don't, we don't miss out. The other one is Empire Boulevard. I put it next to CDBG. That's the grant money we've gotten for 2014. We have submitted plans. Again, we have design plans in to the New York State DOT. We've met with the DOT and have resubmitted to them. We do have approximately $36,000 in grant funding for that portion, so that would take us from Abraham Lincoln Park on the northwest side of Empire Boulevard down to South Point Cove Apartments, where they've installed sidewalks up to the road in that piece. So that's about 1,400 feet of sidewalk that we would look to put in, pairing some of the town's money with the grant money we've received. And then I've showed a small portion of repair locations. I've worked with the DPW. They've gone around town, identified locations that need repairs from the last winter, from sidewalk plowing on the mainline roads. So we allocated some locations for that, and then when we get a new, or get a sidewalk contractor in, they could go out and do the repairs at the same time.
Okay.
The board want me to carry down through all the secondary lines. I can
We can read them.
go through those quickly, or if the board wants to look at those. A lot of those are, the first one was the CDBG of 2015. We haven't gotten the money for that yet, but that is pending. Obviously, that's a very involved project. That may be a multi-stage, multi-year project, but at least we can take it one bit at a time. And then the others, I'll just kind of highlight the second one down, is with the YMCA, knowing that the traffic light is coming shortly on 250. They are installing PET indicators for it. Most recently, I've heard November. That deadline keeps
The signal?
pushing out, but I did have a conversation with the YMCA just yesterday. They thought it was November now, so kind of queuing up for next year after they get the light installed, get the PET indicators there. We've had a lot of desire from neighbors in Wayland Meadows and Country Club East and other neighborhoods that want to walk, bike, get access to the YMCA, that there's a small gap between the Hidden Hollow Farm Market up to the YMCA intersection. So we're looking at that and trying to make sure we're prepared when the light goes in, that could be a next step. And then the rest are streets we've either looked at in the past or requests we've gotten recently from residents for different locations around the towns. We've tried to put a number to them and different costs for the board's consideration.
Those are good. Those are good ones.
Questions, board? Anything for Mark at this point? Do we have any indication from RG&E when those poles were projected to be moved, Mark?
I do not. I'll renew my call tomorrow for those. I say, obviously, the stuff, there's only a guy wire connecting it, so that leads to my hope that there's nothing, at least that I can look at, it's electrically hanging from the poles that are still there.
Okay.
It's just a guy wire tied from the other side of the street, which there's also an additional guy wire that goes to the pole, the new pole that was installed behind it.
Got it.
So I'm hopeful that could be a quicker changeover than having to take transformers off the pole or do something else to that.
Got it. Okay. All right. And Full Phone is teed up to make that happen this year.
The last conversation I had with him, he was.
Okay. All right. Yeah, if we could check that with RG&E, I think that would be great, just to get a sense of where they are. If you wouldn't mind just closing that loop back with the town. And I know you meet every Wednesday with DPW, so it's right at the top of their list of things to do.
Yep.
As soon as that work is done by RG&E. Okay.
Yeah, I think the DPW would do the fill. We may look to an outside contractor to do the concrete work, but we can go out for county bid prices for that.
Yep, okay, good. All right, very good, thanks. Let's move on to 91 Triple Diamond Way, hold harmless agreement under Public Works, Mr. Valentine.
Thank you. More paper for the board. This gentleman, Scott Rice, reached out to me. He was looking to extend a portion of his driveway into a storm sewer easement on the side of his house. There will be no pipes or anything going down into the ground, but there will be portions. It's a 20-foot wide easement, so 10 foot's on his property. The dimensions you can see at the front, he's proposed to be about 5 feet off, so it'd be 5 feet into the easement, and then he's shown to be about 9 feet off the lot line, so he'd be about 1 foot into the easement. So a small sliver of driveway would be over the storm sewer easement. Obviously, informed him that if we ever did have to get in and dig it up, he'd understand that the driveway may be taken up at that time. He's understanding of that. He indicated in his email he understands that, and also informed me to make sure that the surface drainage is maintained with that driveway installation.
Okay.
So again, he's requesting a hold harmless agreement as well with the board.
Did PRC take a look at this?
This I did not bring it to PRC over this.
Okay.
This we can bring it to the board if.
So this would, we'd prepare a resolution for Friday and have it submitted for Wednesday.
Yes.
For this. Okay. All right. Board, any concerns, questions, anything?
I just like
Okay.
I just like
All right.
sidewalk.
I'm good with this.
Very good, thank you, Mark. Public safety, there are no items. Community service, no items. Move on to informational items. The first one up is incentive zoning, 1080, 1092 Penfield Road.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The board did meet informally with the applicants proposing an incentive zoning proposal at that location. The board and the staff had mutual concerns regarding the previous submission. There was really zero setback or very close to zero setback for the units along the westerly property line, which is owned by the town of Penfield, the property that is supposed to stay in an undeveloped state. The developer and his engineer came back and spent time with Mark and I. The engineer had redesigned the plan to reflect the driveway being relocated further to the west of the property line to act as a buffer between the residences and our property. They also pulled back the residences along that driveway on the west side to give about a 29, 28, 27-foot setback to the property. Their intent is also to buffer that property from ours so that it's not just becomes their backyard per se. Mark and I felt that it was a marked improvement from the original proposal. We have looked at this with PRC. PRC didn't really have any specific comments at this point in time. You'll also notice that they did revise the access point onto Penfield Road. It came out straight at one time, which was a little close to the access point to Ellis Creek Valley. The county has certain criteria for distance between driveways. They're going to have to meet that criteria, and I think this is their effort to try and do that. They also have looked at demolishing the house along the road and reconstructing a new townhouse proposal in that location. And then they would also tie into the existing road onto Old Penfield Road as part of alternate means of access if they needed it. So it is a marked improvement from the original plan. I think we're much more satisfied with the proposal than we were when they first submitted. So,
What's the total number of units?
yes, it's a good point, Tony. They initially started out with 78 units before they met with you. When they met with you, it was down to 72. They're now at 66 units.
Can we see like a clean application? I mean, it's not even a real application. it's
Actually,
form.
I would invite Mr. Vasile and his engineer if they join us at the table.
If you would like.
And it looks like he's got a storyboard, so I think
Yeah.
that's a perfect.
Clipped up or?
This is like before and after.
This is a blow-up of the proposal that I sent to you earlier.
Just hold it. It looks like the same thing.
It is.
So let's now that you're seated and comfortable, why don't we put this up on the board so anybody in the back that would like to see it has the opportunity to do that. Would be that'd be great.
It's very thick.
And then just we know Mr. Vasile, just for the record.
Adam Forsino from McFarland Johnson.
Thank you.
Don't hurt
Want to highlight anything up there?
Okay, so
I thought it was the plan.
So Linda, I think I think the floor was yours. I think you had a question about.
Oh, I just, wanted a clear idea of what the change was, just kind of go through what you had and what so we can, visualize it.
We left the old one underneath here. So originally, we were showing a whole row of condos, townhouses with their backs to the town-owned property, and the concern was that the 5 foot
Too close.
was too close. So now the modified version, we've got the road with the 5 foot buffer, but then everyone's houses go back to what we believe is going to be a steep slope EPOD. We don't have a survey conducted yet to confirm that, but so these lines are approximate at this point. And then there would be some sort of landscaping along that 5 foot buffer of road just to add an additional visual barrier from the town-owned property.
Is this a private road, or is this going to be a town-dedicated road?
I believe this would be a private road, right?
Private? Okay. And then-
Rentals or ownership?
We're discussing that option right now.
And what is the buffer behind the buildings now on the west side? But between the town-owned land and
It's 29 feet for these two buildings and 20 feet for this building.
Okay.
And again, I mean, at this point, we're looking for some insight on what the incentive is gonna be for this property, because then we get involved a little more detailed on the buildings. Right now, the Cambridge Heights floor plan is being used as the example for all these buildings. But there, you know, we might have a modification to the buildings to either add more units or add or remove a little depth to the building. So I guess at this point, we're just looking for general buy-in to the layout, and then these buildings may change in shape slightly, but we're looking at about 20 to 30 feet of setback.
When you say you're using the Cambridge Estates layout, this was going to be a one-story, two-story building?
Two-story.
Two-story?
Cambridge
Right.
Estates
Cambridge
is
Estates is an
the...
apartment
Across from
complex.
those.
Right.
Right, I was just gonna say on Penfield Road. Okay.
No,
Cambridge Heights.
Yeah, we know what it is.
I'm not sure we do. Are we referring to the one on Penfield Road by Penn Lane? Or are we referring to another project in another town?
the confusion that you're into, and you're very precise on it, our concept is and has been to do a building with a two-bedroom, as we described in our first guest meeting, two-bedroom upstairs with bath and one master downstairs. But, you know, how that works out in the end is to have two bedrooms downstairs and one upstairs. It's not a high-rise apartment project.
It's a townhouse project.
Right.
Did you change anything in the front where the houses were?
Um,
The entrance. The entrance was, we were a little concerned about. We asked about taking down the other houses or just the White House, the big house next to the farm market.
Correct. I mean, the updated plan now shows, you know, an additional building parallel to Penfield Road, and then trying to clean up what's out there today that's, you know, not very delineated as far as the traffic goes for entrances.
Well, that entrance looks like it's the same entrance into Gentle's Farm Market, isn't it? When you're coming up the road here. Sure.
Correct.
It's the same. So those houses, are they still there, or are they gone now? There's houses, there's like
There's-
three houses.
They're still there today.
Well,
But
this
Well,
plan-
in this map.
this plan shows the one to be removed.
Right.
The one house remains that's not under contract.
Right,
correct?
right.
But the two that are under contract are showing as being,
Is
they will be
demolished.
demolished.
In that
That's-
area
that's
between
different.
Penfield Road and the new access road, that'll be a landscaped
Correct.
buffer from the street.
Gotcha.
And again, going back so that there's no confusion, all of the buildings that are being proposed are two-story.
Correct.
Yes.
So Tony, what would be the next steps then? at this
Well, certainly, the next thing that we do is similar to what we just did with Rudy Neufeld for the project. We go to a sketch plan information meeting and give anyone that had an interest to come in and speak either for or against that. And then from there would then be a more formal application. I think one of the things that the board, has been having some conversations at a high level with staff is what would the incentives be for that area? And some of the things that we had talked about, was more on the recreation side. We've got the park down in Panorama Plaza, Panorama Valley Park, and then any other what I'll call infrastructure needs. So I think the board and the staff need to continue to flush that out, but it was along those lines. So if we felt that this plan is at a point that we'd like to pursue a sketch hearing, that would be the sketch plan hearing, that would be the next step. So we would advertise that. It'd be an informal discussion, and we'd look to probably do that. I'm guessing in the September timeframe.
The staff has been working diligently to prepare a list for you. We have a list. We are still assigning numbers to that list for you to give you some recognition of how you might divide it up. So that is coming quickly. We should share that with you very soon.
Well, I would support us going towards the information meeting, just to get a general feeling from the residents in the area?
Board,
Yes.
comfortable with that at this point, to go into that next step? Feel that there's been enough rework of that plan to, one, avoid, the setback issue, and then also obviously the steep slope, where it sounds like they've got a piece on that front portion that they're still getting some survey work done on that, but overall comfortable with that next step?
Yeah, I'm comfortable going to the information meeting. I think the residents, should take a look and see what's going on in their neighborhood. I would also encourage the applicant to try to get any kind of visuals of what they think these buildings will look like. Certainly, if I was living across the street, and even as a town board member, I may be okay with the layout of this, but I'm far, far away from supporting anything until I can see what exactly it is that's going to be built, And so I've been pretty consistent through the years on wanting to see what these type of, buildings or apartments, townhomes or condos are going to look like visually, and the aesthetics that are, put into that versus just a cookie cutter type building that can be put up pretty cheaply, which isn't going to go over very well with this town board. So, and I think that's only fair to the residents, that they are able to see what is potentially going to be going up. So I would just encourage you to do that.
Okay, thank you. Other comments, board? Staff, other items we should be aware of?
No, I just want to go back to one comment you made earlier about how the incentive would determine the density from your perspective, and the incentive does not determine the density. The property determines the density and how it fits. And how the board's
That's an
comfortable
excellent point.
with the site. If you're talking about the density being lower because the incentive's higher, that's one thing, but the incentive being what it is not going to determine the density. It's going to determine what's appropriate for the site and how it fits properly. And that board makes the decision to do that, so that's my only comment.
Yep, okay.
That's a good one.
Thank you. Good point.
Glad
Okay, so we'll move forward to the next step, which would be a public information meeting. We'd work, obviously, with the calendar for proper
Yes, I have to make an application.
advertising,
to the
and
board.
got to make the application and work
And I'll
through
work
with
them
that.
to do that.
So that would be the next step.
Yep.
You
And
look like you have
we
a...
would work with you
Yep.
to come up with some incentive ideas. and
Absolutely.
Yep.
Just as a clarification to us, on the incentive part, it's the intention, it sounds like, that we would contribute to whatever in our area. I'm a Penfield town resident, so I mean, no matter what's done, it's an improvement to our town.
Right.
But it is the intention that it would be within the area of this project.
It can be.
It can be. At one time, the board was adamant about having that occur, but there are a lot of things happening in this town that have a priority listing, and there are things that need to be done. So, yeah, if we could do something in your neighborhood that benefits the neighborhood, that's a great thing to do. But if there are other things that are more pressing for us to get done,
I have no
it
argument
may
over
be part of
that,
that
but,
process. But we have other applications similar to yours as well that may be able to offset things in other parts of the town that we're concerned about.
The advantage of that question for us was that when we're out doing informational to the neighbors, it helps us to say that we're doing something in this area to improve.
I think if we can do it for your area, I think we would like to do that.
If it's possible.
I understand what you're saying, but again, as we take a look at this, I mean, obviously, at the current zoning, this supports a, certain number of lots.
Right.
And, the proposal here is, being an incentive zoning, we want to certainly, make sure that we are making some improvements, to the area where we can.
Right.
But again, I also want to reinforce that as part of that, it could be, to some adjacent areas as well. I mean, that just, is part of that. And again, the board has been working very closely with staff as we identify, what some of those needs might be to benefit the broader community. And certainly we take a look at all those and prioritize, as Mr. Costello said, prioritize those accordingly, as we go through.
Thank you for the clarification.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you work with Mr. Costello on an application, and we'll look, obviously it has to be advertised, and so we'll go through and do that. My sense is, just based on timing, it's going to be, in the September timeframe for that information meeting.
Thank you.
All right?
Not a
Thank you.
public hearing, but it is.
But an information meeting, that is correct.
Thank you.
Okay. That takes us to incentive zoning, 1213 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road. I think it's referred to as the Barclay Park Townhome Development, and that was the public information meeting that this board had last Wednesday. So with that, Mr. Costello, I'll ask you to tee that up with any additional information that you may have received since our last meeting.
I haven't, Mr. Supervisor, but again, as you noted, we did have the meeting last Wednesday. We had people get up and give some support to Mr. Neufeld. We haven't heard from others, but it was generally a positive response. And I guess my question to the board is how comfortable you feel about moving forward with the process.
Absolutely. I think we had the information meeting, and there wasn't any negativity. Everything was positive, and moved to the next step. I'm happy to.
I agree with that.
Board, good with that. Certainly,
Next
you know,
step being a public hearing.
Yes.
the next step would be public hearing, but I would think also, one of the
That's
things
not
that
given.
the board, still needs to flush out is with regards to the incentive component.
Yes.
And so it's the same discussion that we just had with the previous applicant around what is that. And so I think we need to, get that list and review that list. Certainly, if the board is comfortable with Mr. Neufeld to proceed with a formal application, could look to do that. And again, I think we need to finalize that list here at a work session, which could be as soon as our next work session to be able to do that. And then, he's got that, and then potentially some others, which I think is going to be, the next discussion that we have with an adjacent piece of property at 1271.
Good point, and, following up on our discussion about, what the board needs and what the town needs in terms of working within neighborhoods versus other areas of the town, based on how much the incentive's required to be based on density issues, they may have two smaller projects instead of one larger one, depending on the situation. So we will work with you to get that list finalized for the next meeting.
Okay, all right. So next step would be a formal application, and that would be on an upcoming board meeting, depending upon when you're able to get that in. Again, just reinforce that the folks that came in for the public information meeting were there in support, and at least as of today, the board has not received any letters of either concern or not supporting that particular development. So any additional letters that come in will be added to the file and certainly shared with the applicant or anyone else that has an interest with that. Good with that? Good with that, board?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. Great. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Neufeld.
I still have that building that I just hate to destroy. We've had some offers to buy it. If the town board, and I discussed this with staff and with the supervisor, if the town has any need for that building in one of their projects or something, I'll be happy to donate it. So if not, we can sell it, but
I would.
the board can use it somewhere. I'd love to donate it to the
Yep,
town.
I would encourage you to pursue selling it, and you own the property, you own the building. I would encourage you to move forward and dispose of that as you see fit and as appropriate. And at this point, there is nothing from the town end, so
Very good.
you can take that next step.
Thank you very much, folks.
All right,
Always a
thank you.
pleasure.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to 1271 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road.
Thank you, Tony. We did have discussions with Mr. Vendel fairly recently regarding his intent to apply for a incentive zoning package for his property as well. One of the issues that kind of held him up till tonight was the fact that we had not been able to come up with the incentive list as we have at this point in time. So he's in the same situation as the others are as well. So the question to the board was, were you comfortable enough to move forward with that application, or are there other issues you wanted to see?
To the information meeting?
Yes.
It was pretty straightforward what he was asking. I would go for the information meeting, but like you said, we still have to wait on the incentive list.
I would tell you also that I did receive a map from Mr. Neufeld as late as today that identifies how he would be able to mesh his southerly property line into Mr. Vendel's northerly property line. And that's something the board's going to have to look at, but
Okay.
that will happen in a future phase of Abington when
Okay.
he comes back.
So this wouldn't be something we have to wait for
No,
before we have
you do
the
not have,
information?
I mean, I'll share it with you so you have a comfort level, but his intent would be to submit for Abington Section 5 or 6, and he would do that with this map, so.
So the road, the proposed connection road would remain pretty much the same
Yes.
as it is, and then come into the Vendel property and then head west into a cul-de-sac. So that original plan that we saw, pretty much still the same, right, Bill?
That's right.
Okay. And then, so your comment about lining up the north lots of Neufeld to the south lots of Vendel.
Vice versa. It's the south lots of Neufeld to the north lots of...
Excuse me, that is right, yep. So, so Neufeld submitted a map today.
He wanted me to be aware of how he's lining up, and I think with the reconfiguration of the lots from what he was approved at, I think he picks up 3 lots. He went from 9 to 12 lots, I believe.
Originally, he had larger lots on the south side abutting Mr. Vendel's property as the board's request to transition, but if this is, Mr. Vendel's property is looking to go with smaller lots, then obviously there's not a need to buffer to
Right.
future developments.
They would
That's the
line up.
modification.
But they would more appropriately line up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So the same discussion on the incentive piece is still the same as what we had talked about and what you had heard. So that we'll be looking to flush that out over the next couple of weeks, and we'll do that at a work session probably in 2 weeks to do that. But in the meantime, it sounds like the board is comfortable with pursuing to the next step, which would be a public information meeting, giving the neighbors an opportunity to come in and speak either for or against, get a sense of any concerns, issues that are raised there. And then if that is favorable, then certainly the next step could be a public hearing. By that time, I would say that by the time of a public information meeting, you would have an understanding of where the board is headed by way of any type of incentive.
All right.
Okay. Staff, anything more that we should put on the table that isn't into the record that you believe should be part of the record?
No, I think we had the discussion regarding the alternate means of access, which is probably not reasonable at this point in time as it lays out to this farm market. And I assume we intend to keep that farm market in place for some time yet. So I think the PRC reviewed that. The majority of the PRC really had no concern for that. There were 1 or 2 that were looking for an alternate means of access, but I think they also understand that there are some limitations to that situation. So
Would it be possible, I don't know the layout of the farm market, but would it be possible to put a similar kind of access that is sort of off the northwest side of Abington? Isn't there like not a sidewalk, but the paver system in place that goes up to White Spire that does provide for a second?
There's a
It's
pedestrian connection between White Spire and Abington. It's
But wasn't
not
it designed as an emergency?
No, it's actually not wide enough to actually accommodate motorized vehicles, and there's actually bollards at both ends of it to ensure that they don't use it for
Right.
dirt bikes and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So it really wasn't. The closest thing to what you're thinking about now is the one between Tuscany and,
Right, well, that one I know about, but I thought that that was designed as a way for a second.
no, it's just for pedestrian access between the neighborhoods.
There is a stub in the Abington future phase, a stub to go to the west that would interconnect with the.
It would provide
properties
alternate
across.
access if that were ever developed to the west, yeah.
Okay, well then I withdraw that comment, but I was just thinking that, you know, a similar one would probably work to the back of the farm stand.
I think the remainder of PRC's comments were technical in nature, and those will be addressed as we get further into the design and.
Right.
And build out.
Okay. All right. Good.
Okay.
Any questions, Bill, for us at this time?
No,
All right.
we're all set.
Very good. All right. Well, thanks for the time, guys.
Thank you.
That will take us to item number 4, amended zoning at 730 Linden Avenue. And if we have someone that is here representing, then
Mr. LaFountain and I took a site tour the other day, and took some photographs, so I'll pass the photographs around. This gives you an idea of the components of the project. I apologize for the quality of the pictures. Our government issue copier isn't doing its job. We're going to get that fixed soon, but I thought I'd at least share with you, give you some of the idea of what's there and the breakup of they have, again, in this project, they have 2-story townhouses, apartments, and they have single-story townhouses. They also have a community center with a pool. And it is a gated community. We also took photographs of the property abutting and the buffer between the two properties, as Steve suggested we would offer at this location as well.
Where's this golf course going?
There's no golf course.
Free golfer residents.
well, so again, so what you're seeing,
Yes.
this is Saratoga Crossing
Oh, this
in
is-
Farmington, and
Oh, we're just
so.
looking at the picture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all we
Not
attempted to do was to get some photos, and then we had an opportunity to speak with one of the leasing agents so that we didn't get arrested as we were out driving around. We wanted to make sure that they knew that we were there and that Mr. Morgan had given us, the blessing to be there and to kind of view. So, but this is a similar type of what he is proposing to do. Again, with a variety of different number of bedroom styles and some either townhomes or single family, what I'll call the single-story homes. I think that was on the west, I think along the west property line there. And then this is, similar to what they're looking at for cost as well. So the idea was to just give us a kind of a snapshot of what they were proposing to do up on Linden.
One of the things that interested me as I was going through the photographs today is that if you go back to Linda, the other application there, General's Farm Market, they show that the garages abutting each other. They do that in this project as well. It's the first time I've kind of seen them like that,
Yeah.
where you have 2 next to each other, then 2 next to each other, then 2 next to each
Yeah,
other.
that is unusual.
It's as he said though, because of the way it's configured, you have 2 upstairs and 1 down, and then one upstairs and 2 down. So it all kind of fits together, but it is the same kind of configuration that they were proposing for the General Farm Market.
So what are we, looking at these pictures, it's for the.
Yeah, it's just their handout, and I made a copy of their handout. Tony was able to grab one from the
And then
site.
this is actually what they're talking about.
This is what they're doing at Saratoga
Saratoga,
Crossing.
but
This
that
is
one-
not,
yeah.
no. This
So
is,
so why are we?
if you remember what they were doing at this site was they had the buildings lined up next to each other, and the board asked for a loop road around the property. They were also going to have several units on the west side, as Tony suggested, to act as a buffer from the,
These are the government issue things. You took, right?
We need a new,
Okay.
we need a new roller or something.
Yeah. So tonight, we're just talking about what you learned about what something similar to
Well,
what they're talking
and then,
about.
Kaz, sorry, you want this here? So at the request of the board, what Jim and I did was we met with the representatives from Morgan. One of the questions that that the board wanted us to have some dialogue on was with regards to commercial. So that was one of the items that we had talked about was commercial in this area. That is something that at this point they're not looking at. Some of the discussion that we had is that if you take a look at the 4 mobile home parks that are there, that would be more along the lines of further down, closer to the Linden, the Smith development and the Linden Oaks piece, having the commercial in that location versus this location. So at this time, they're not looking at or considering commercial. They're looking at and considering single family. And so again, the purpose of the field trip that Jim and I did earlier in the week was that the Saratoga has some similarities to this, is that it abuts an existing mobile home park, which is of about the same age of
Is
our
that on
mobile
the other
home.
side
That
of
is
the
correct.
white fence?
It is.
Yeah, so the white fence, this white fence is what you were talking about when you came to talk to us.
And so that was that separation between the mobile home park and the proposed development that they're looking to do at this location. So the similarities are the white fence that he had talked about. Similarities are a similar style and type of unit that they're having. Obviously, the configuration here is different than the configuration at Saratoga Crossing, but the idea was to take a look at the units, see the mix of units, see what they're doing there, to kind of either break that up or to distinguish them kind of as their own unique different buildings and things like that.
I don't really have a new opinion yet. What would be the next step? Would the next step be an information hearing or an information discussion, informal discussion? Is that?
It would be actually a rezoning hearing.
It would be a public hearing. We generally in the past have not done public informational meetings
for
with
rezonings.
rezonings.
Okay, so this would be a
So
rezoning.
this would
There's
be
a process for a legal process for rezoning.
Right.
So, we would look at rezoning, but it would go to planning board.
Planning board would give a recommendation to the town board as a condition, as would the conservation board.
Right, this isn't an incentive zone.
No,
This is the
this
thing.
is strictly
This would be-
rezoning to multi-residential.
Yep, this is the proposal would be for, rezoning from, the current, which is a mobile home or a mobile home park is the official, to a multiple residence,
Right.
multiple dwelling, multiple residence zoning.
You haven't had a rezoning in so long.
We don't get them very often.
I know. Could we have an information meeting? Would it be too out of the, I mean, we haven't done one in so long. This is such a different kind of application, something so unique. Seems like there should be more of an introduction to the community.
Well, you understand also the rezoning process will
Yeah.
take some time.
It will.
And you're gonna have the ability to let it stay open for the public to give you the input that you need.
True.
And then the other part of that is if you decide to move forward with the rezoning, they have to go to site plan approval with the planning board.
Right.
So it'll be a protracted process. It's not
Yeah.
gonna happen overnight.
Like the most recent rezoning was the strips across from Wegmans, going from
Yeah.
single-family residential to B&R
Right.
in that strip, and then the portions on 250.
Right.
And that was several years ago now. Just now, we're kind of starting to see some of those units change over
That's true.
and
That's
turn
true.
into.
I guess guess I
Need
go
additional
through.
information?
Yeah, I'm just, I've thought about this over the last couple weeks, and I'm just not at a point where I'm prepared to make a decision to move forward or to come right out and say I don't support the project. I'm right at that midpoint, I certainly don't mean to stall or procrastinate a decision, but I'm just not at a point to make a decision right now on this particular night.
All right. All right.
So,
You said it more eloquently than I did.
Okay, well, and we don't have Paula, I mean, we don't have one of our board members,
Right.
so, in fairness to the whole process, I mean, we don't want to, deny someone without obviously, vetting the process appropriately. And if, we're not comfortable with taking that next step or making that commitment to take that next step, then, what I may suggest is that we hold it, have the benefit of Paula being able to, see the photographs that were taken and a little bit more
That's fair.
of the information that was gleaned out of Saratoga Crossing, and then bring that back to the board for 2 weeks from tonight.
fine.
Is there anything the staff needs to do for you?
Yep, thank you. That was going to be my next comment, Jim, so
And-
thank you for that.
Or telepathy.
No, yep. Yeah,
If
so
there's
does,
anything you need from us, we'd be happy to get it to you. Just let us know.
Thank you.
yeah, so, and if you like, Jim, I'm guessing that, would any or all of these photographs be helpful because we can send them electronically?
Yep.
I mean, we've got them, we can send them electronically.
Be happy to do that.
And so I don't know if so these half a dozen here, this is what's on the other side of that fence. I mean, so if you take a look, I don't know if you saw those, but that's on the other side of the fence. So, I mean, the comparison of what's out at Saratoga Crossing and adjacent property is similar in nature to what we have here, or what might ultimately be proposed here by way of apartments on one side and mobile homes on the other. So I mean, I think that was the intent of at least trying to get some, some information on that.
You know the story, I mean, was it all mobile home park that was taken down to create this?
For,
No, I mean,
Oh,
no.
Saratoga.
Oh,
Saratoga Crossing.
I think a portion.
no,
No.
I think it was over towards that end, and then everything else was completely,
Right.
yeah.
So there was never anything about taking down a mobile
No.
home park and trying to move the
Not-
children there in the
yeah, no,
school
not there.
district? I mean, that's one of the big things hanging with us has been
Yeah, I can't remember.
the way it's all broken up for the school districts, and yet
Yeah.
to move these children out of one district to another district unless they can get into that. Still stay in the district by getting in a certain area of the park, and
Yeah.
kind of confusing there, but, so you never went through this before and then?
No.
Wondered how successful it's been,
No, not yet.
positioning.
Okay, so all I would ask, board, is that if you need any additional information, certainly Jim can share the copy of the photos. If you need any additional information, let us know, and we can go through and do that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, on the original information that Mr. Morgan had submitted on this, I think there were the number of units.
It was 281 on the original.
When we had the discussion back on June 10th of 2015, this plan was to consider rezoning. There were 215 lots, of which 125 were occupied. At that time, there was 38 students that were going, and that represented approximately 5% of the units had children. So 5% of the 125 had students, so that was kind of the breakdown or the information that was provided at that point.
Has the developer spoken with any of the families with students about moving?
Not to my knowledge. I know that he has discussed the matter with us in his meeting, that he is committed to relocating those students and making them whole in terms of the families with them and making sure that they are made
If they
whole
stay in
as they
Penfield.
relocate, yeah. He has had discussions with Mr. Harper to see if they can relocate into his park. Mr. Harper has some vacancies. He only has 2 vacancies with no mobile homes on the sites, but he does have several that are available if they wanted to be rented. But he has also offered to put them in the other park that he owns.
Right, well, but that's Pittsford Schools, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. Okay.
2 weeks.
Anything else? All right, great, thank you very much. That takes us to the end of the agenda, and there being no further business before the board, the meeting will stand adjourned at 8:19 p.m. Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it.